It's going to record it. Cool. So hey again, everyone. This is well, we've actually given it a name now, haven't we? We're actually going to call it Console Shop, the Console Shop podcast. So it's me, Trev, and Stu. Say hello, Stu. Stu, you there?
I'm here. It says off air though.
It says it's
Oh, live.
yeah, we're going now. We're live, so we're recording.
Okay. Welcome to Console Shock, episode 1.
Console
Hey.
Shop Remastered, audio only edition. Yeah, we didn't have a name for the last one, did we? So we've decided upon this. So so it's hosted by me, Trev, and Stu.
Yeah, Trevor and Stu, like old Trevor and Simon, but funnier.
With Simon substituted for Stu, and yeah, funnier as well.
Yeah.
Creepy sort of air about them hanging around kids on a early morning Saturday show. But anyway,
I don't think Trevor and Simon were paedophiles. Was that ever proven?
I don't think so. No. Yeah, there's certain people that you were expecting, wasn't there? Not being funny. I don't want to say any names, but
Yeah.
Saturday morning presenters that we could go into. But
You know, I always thought who was a paedophile was Philip Schofield. Do you remember the guy who used to present kids' TV?
yes, of course.
Yeah, I think there's something funny about. I've not heard from him from years. Where's he gone? Hey?
He was sort of knocking around with Gordon the Gopher, wasn't he? And I guess their professional relationship. I heard him and Sarah Green, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Sarah. Oh, her husband died a while ago, though, didn't he?
Sarah Green died.
Yeah, Mike Smith.
Oh shit! Yeah, he was one of he was on that as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he died quite recently. It's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nice light note to her.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I've got some questions.
Yeah, go hit me with them.
You want to get you wanted me? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So I was thinking like last time. Well, we start off. I think we start off every week by just saying what we've been playing lately, whether it's old, new, or whatever. So, what have you been playing this last couple of weeks?
I've been playing mainly FIFA 15 Ultimate Team. I've really been enjoying it.
I've actually persuaded you, didn't you? You're a skeptic of foot.
I was. I've always liked FIFA games, as I've talked about before.
Yeah.
But it's almost the Ultimate Team brings in a little bit of sort of your management, and I've always enjoyed sort of management sims.
Yeah.
Previously, as in years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
But just playing and then collecting all the cards. I quite like collecting the cards and building up your team, and so I'm enjoying that immensely.
And you can get offline, of course, so you haven't got to be annoyed by idiots.
No, I will try it online eventually, though. I do want to give it a go online and see how I compare to other people.
Yeah.
I'm worried I'll just lose quite badly, though. But
yeah, I've avoided going online. Yeah, I was like you. I was skeptical of it, but I had FIFA 14. I had it on the PS4, and I got it on the Xbox. Don't know how that happened, but it did. And because it didn't have tournament mode on it for some reason. So normally that's all I ever did on FIFA. I just played, I started a season in like the Championship as Charlton or the Scottish Premier League as Celtic. I just played a season and just did all the different leagues. And I didn't do any management.
yeah,
Or I didn't do any of that stuff. I just like playing game after game after game without any admin.
yeah.
But that wasn't in the next gen FIFA 14. So I had no choice but to play FIFA Ultimate Team. But I got into it. I was like, this is actually quite good.
Yeah.
It's a little daunting. But when you get your head around the gold packs or the various packs and the Pokemon-y aspect to it, and then you've got to make sure you have enough contract consumables and healing consumables. You get a little routine going. And I thought it was online only, but it's not. You can play you can play forever offline, which is what I tend to do because I don't really like playing online.
I do have a confession, though.
Yeah?
I did buy some packs.
Oh, no way.
I know. I wanted to see what was in them.
Like for 70p in it or something to get you enough token.
Yeah, I spent about a fiver, and I got a few packs, and I upgraded my team, and I got a new stadium, and it made me happy.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, I've got the you've got the Ultimate Team as well version, but I've got the Ultimate Team version. Every Friday, I get a gold pack as part. You pay like £10 more, which I did, and you get a gold pack. I got Lionel Messi for 5 games on loan as well. I haven't used him yet. I'm waiting for a hard tournament where I'll need to kind of cheat a bit by having Lionel Messi on my team. So I'm going to save him, and I'm going to pop him in the team. I think I've got a couple of gold packs to start off with for free, which is quite handy. It's annoying though because I spent a year playing on my previous team, and I've had to start again because they don't let you transfer it, which I can. Yeah, I suppose it's because it means everybody starts afresh.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, but so I need to claim that. Actually, I'm going to do it today because if you miss 1 week, you don't get to go back and grab that gold pack. It's gone.
Ah, right. Okay, get on there then.
Yeah, because you paid like £8-9 more than regular version. You kind of have to go and get them. Otherwise, you kind of just wasted £8 or £9. But yeah, I suppose you've got that as well then, if you've got the Ultimate Team edition.
No, I didn't. I didn't get the Ultimate Team one.
Oh, you got the regular one?
Yeah, I just picked up the regular one.
The next time you pre-order, you'll probably end up getting the Ultimate Team version, and you won't really have to buy any gold packs.
Yeah, that's it. But I find it's quite easy once you start winning a few matches and
get
a few players. You put them in the transfer market. You can get other players more packs pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I've got you get a lot of junk, don't you? When you get your free sort of stuff, they chuck you to get you started, like badges of teams you don't like, and I sell all that stuff and just buy stuff like there's a few teams I like whose kits I like. I just keep them, then use the money I spend selling the sort of useless stuff they give me. I always make sure I've got a stash of healing cards, and I don't know what you call it, consumables. And a stash of
healing potions.
Yeah, that's basically what they are, aren't they? There's ones that could do individual parts of a body, but I just get like a gold cure everything one.
Have you got the potions yet that increase their magic?
No, I'm waiting until I've leveled up to until Messi's evolved into the next level of monster before.
It is a bit like an RPG, isn't it?
It's weird, isn't it? It is kind of like for football fans. Not like Inazuma 11 on the DS really was an RPG. Actually, that was like Ultimate Team, weirdly enough. Maybe that's where they got the idea. I don't really know. What else are you playing then?
What else am I playing? Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U.
Oh, yeah. I like Dynasty Warriors, so that's kind of a Nintendo version of it, isn't it?
It is, and I've never really played a Dynasty Warriors game before. But
yeah,
I've only done 2 or 3 levels in the week or so I've had it, but I am enjoying it.
It's like an extreme version of Streets of Rage. Instead of just walking around and just punching the odd dude, you've got like thousands of hordes of people coming at you. Which that's what it's like in this. But in this one, I haven't played it.
I don't quite understand the dynamic of it yet and how the system of it all works, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you have different areas of a level, like 5 different segments, and you move between them, and you've got to clear each one of the hordes of enemies to win that area. Yeah. And you've got to do it quickly enough before the bad guys take over, enough areas to win the level. That's kind of how it is, or at least I play the Dynasty Warriors Gundam, which is the robot version.
Style.
Yeah, it's really good. If you get into the Hyrule Warriors, get that. They all get bad reviews because like the journalists just say, oh, it's just you're just running around smashing up things. But like, yeah, that's actually fun. But these people want bloody Last of Us style stuff for every game. But yeah,
no, I am enjoying it.
Do you play as Link then, and you run around slashing up hundreds of bad guys? I don't really know.
I wish it had online though. To be honest, that would have been quite good. And if you could have just jumped into other people's games, and there's a few of you. And I think playing it with someone else who maybe sort of knew what they were doing, with a bit more sort of cooperative element, would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I think that's the trouble. Is the Wii U's online sort of network isn't quite as robust as it is like Xbox Live and the PlayStation network.
But Mario Kart, I always thought that was good.
Yeah,
line that never really failed on me.
There's no lagging or anything.
No, there's no lagging.
Yeah, I remember the first ever online game I played was Choo Choo Rocket on
Oh
the
man,
that Dream Arena that you had to log into.
yeah, but that was awful. It was only on a 52K modem.
Yeah, in fact, it wasn't even that. I remember there was this big thing where in the States you got a 56K modem, but in Europe they downgraded it to the 30, whatever the one below that was, 33 or something K.
33K modem, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember 'cause I was only like 15 or 16 then. I was still living with my parents, so I could only play online on my Dreamcast on like weekend evenings when my
Yeah.
parents were using the phone, and it wasn't going to cane the phone bill because it was like free evening weekend sort of crap. I remember, yeah, Choo Choo Rocket. You could go in there, and I used to love playing that. There was a lag. There was a big ass lag though, because it was like you press the direction, you press one of the buttons to lay an arrow. I'm not going to go into how you play Choo Choo Rocket. Look it up on YouTube. It would take me ages. But yeah, and there'd be a lag between pressing the button and the actual thing happening. But you would kind of mentally get used to it, so you'd plan ahead, sort of thing. But it was a bit jarring. But that was the best you could kind of do on dial-up in those days.
Yeah, I tell you, what was your first? Okay, that was your first online experience.
Yeah, probably after that would have been probably another Dreamcast game. I couldn't tell you what other ones. Probably Quake, perhaps.
I think mine was on the original Xbox, not the Xbox One, the original Xbox.
Yeah,
And
PS2 gen.
I played Project Gotham Racing 2, Outrun, or I think I played a bit of Halo, Combat Evolved, the first one on my PC. They were my first online experiences.
I always wanted to because I sort of jumped between the GameCube and the Xbox in that gen.
Mm.
Obviously, that gen is what the Dreamcast to 1999 to 2005 when the 360 came out, I guess. But yeah, that gen, I had either an Xbox or a GameCube. I sort of bounced between them, and I never got the Xbox Live. I never went online with it because it went online really late in the lifespan because it was always something they were saying, oh, it's coming soon, weren't they? Because they released the Xbox in 2002, and they were saying this is something that's going to be huge. It's come, we're setting it up. It wasn't until about 2000. I don't really know when it started in the UK. Was it the year after?
Yeah, I think it was a year. It wasn't too far out. It was a little while after.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't like dead years and years. It was like a year or something. We didn't have broadband where I lived. I lived in this small little town in North Essex, seaside town, which didn't get broadband till 2004. So and it was broadband only, wasn't it? The Xbox. So the modem was built in, wasn't it? You just put the Ethernet into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I never, and when I did get broadband a few months after that, 2004 when it was available. I don't know. I don't think I was really bothered about online gaming at that time. I did get broadband shortly after, but I think I got a USB modem or something as part of the broadband package we had with BT or something. So it didn't work with an Xbox. All I had to do was probably get like some kind of router or switch, and then I could have bunged an Ethernet cable in. But yeah, I missed that whole. I completely missed the Xbox Live original until it was the 360 that I actually started using it.
It wasn't until the 360. That's when, to me, having your friends lists on there and
Yeah,
everything, it came into its own because as someone who sort of, even back then, sort of ran computer game shops,
yeah,
I'd have quite a few sort of customers on there. Well, I say customers, the sort of friends, to be honest, who I enjoy playing online with.
yeah,
And it gave you a little bit of sort of a good idea of actually what are people playing, what do people play, and if it was a big game to get more in stock. If you went on to Xbox Live and everyone was playing Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty,
yeah,
you thought, hang on, there's something going on here. When normally everyone would be playing a different game. There'd be FIFA, Gears of War, and so on. But it was, I think, and still up to, well, a few years ago, the PlayStation hadn't really caught up to where Xbox was.
No, you're right.
Where it come to, and I can't even say today that the PlayStation online experience,
PSN.
is as good as Xbox Live
It's
was
funny because
a good few years ago.
yeah, yeah. Well, they're kind of making efforts now, aren't they, with PlayStation Plus and all that, and making you pay to put to play PS4 online. PS3 is still free. But I remember because the first console I got, actually no, it's a bit weird actually, but in the last gen, the first console I got was actually a 360. And then I got, I had two that Red Light of Death on me.
Oh, yeah.
So I got pissed off and I gave up, and I thought, you know what? It was just around the time the PS3 came out, so I was a little bit late by about a year-ish into a next gen. But around October 2007, so well, that would have been fairly early in the PS3 lifespan actually, because it only came out in March 2007. I was over here. I got a PS3 because I was pissed off with the 360 from them failing. So I got a PS3 from Dixon's. It was like 500 quid. Remember,
they were a lot of money.
Yeah, I took out a loan. They had like a thing where if it's over a certain price, you can do it in installments. Dixon's had, so I did that because I couldn't. I was like, yeah, you know, I was only like 23 or 20, 24, and I was a student. I was at uni, so I wasn't able to pay for it off my own back. But I really wanted it, so I got it. And yeah, I think I got Resistance, Fall of Man, and Motorstorm. There wasn't many games out by that time. There wasn't Pro Evo. There wasn't a FIFA. It was a couple of months before. What did FIFA 08 just come out? I can't remember. It might have just come out actually, but FIFA 08 was the first PS3 one. But yeah, and I remember when that was the first console that I played online. It might have been Resistance. That might have been the first game that I proper. Because by that time I had like Wi-Fi, you know, with my parents and stuff, so it would just crack onto that. But it's funny when I think about it now, because like my PS3 was just plugged into a dinky little 14-inch telly, but via SCART, and it's just like HD ready console, and I could play Blu-rays. I didn't get to play a Blu-ray on it for about 2 more years. I didn't have a HD TV for like, or a decent enough TV for a couple of years after that. So yeah, it would have been the PS3 was the first console. I remember like Pro Evo 2008, which is the first football game I bought, because that was still like at the end of the glory days of Pro Evo.
That's right.
That was like the board.
I've got another question to ask you in a sec, Trevor. But first off, I'm just going to say, did you feel a little bit? Hang on, I spent £500 on a PS3.
Yeah.
There's really not very good games coming out. Because I still feel of the last generation, I'd rather play on the Xbox 360 than the PS3, because I don't like the controller. There's so many things about it that I just don't like.
Yeah. So you've got a PS3 though, haven't you, at the moment? But
it's right next to me.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I got pissed off with the 360 because I had two of them that failed. So I thought, you know, I'm going to keep getting these things and they're going to keep failing. Yeah. I mean, I like games. I had a chance to play a few in the time that before it failed. It was like World Cup 2006. I played that a lot, and Superman Returns, which was actually crap, but at the time it was amazing. So I was like, oh my god, look at these. The graphics were like blew me away. Then the PS3 came out, and I thought, you know what? I haven't heard anything about them failing. I'm a bit of a PlayStation fan, you know. I didn't have a PS2. I never had a PS2 in its glory days, which people think, what? I mentioned that before, I think, but I had a PS1. And that was my favorite console of that era. Yeah, so I got it, and yeah, I mean, it was a lot of money, but I didn't really regret it. I did enjoy using it. It became a media server straight away. Although initially its support for certain media was a bit naff. There was an update about a year later where I could play any old thing I chucked at it.
Yeah.
But it did Blu-rays, which I knew at some stage I would get into. I had some I still all my PS1 games, so I could play them on that. There was even a couple of PS2 games that I wanted originally, but I didn't have a PS2, but I bought them to play on it. Although now you can't play PS2 games on the current PS3, but on the fat one, which is the only one you get then, 10 gig hard drive, which is like 3 times bigger than the 20 gig you got in the Xbox that was around then. And that was the default. It wasn't like a special version you had to get. It was just 60 gig. I remember like the most in the first few months was Rugby 08 for the PS2.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because it was
No,
like,
you're such a weirdo.
well, the sports games, yeah. Yeah, well, you know, I always say first ever game.
So the PS3 came out,
I've
and
got,
you bought Rugby '08.
I've got Rugby 08, PS2, which was a PS2 game, so they didn't make a next gen version. It was still in that transitional period. And yeah, I was playing the crap out of that because it was really addictive. And that was the game that I played more than anything else for a good year. um,
Oh
and
my God.
I think we talked last time that I also had a PSP. I had that. I'd already had one for a couple of years by then, and I played that more than any console because I had that jailbreaked, so I could put any old games I wanted. And the games then were about on the same level that you would get on a console plugged into the telly. So I
Yeah,
sort of
same as the PS2, really. Yeah.
yeah. So I ended up playing that more than any of the consoles that are around. So I had a very strange experience of the last gen. I got on board early, played the odd game, and I was kind of like one of those. You could almost call me a casual gamer because I only really played FIFA.
Yeah.
Game that I went out and bought. Now I've got back to the level that I was when I was a teenager or in my early 20s. Right, well, I'm really enjoying playing all different kinds of games.
Mm.
So yeah, it was a funny. I think because I was at uni and I had other interests as well that kind of took over a little bit. Games weren't as important, but I've kind of reverted a little bit. But I'm glad I have because and now a lot of those games that I missed out on, like Uncharted and things like that, are like £5. So I'm just like stockpiling them and like running through them. So yeah, actually, yeah, that brings me to I haven't answered the question yet. What games?
No, no, stop.
Yeah,
What do you think of the Pro Evo 15 demo?
I quite liked it. It's a lot slower than FIFA. It's I know it's an easy thing that people say about when they compare the two games, but it does feel more like real football. It's a
Yeah.
lot slower. You have to put together lots of passes to inch your way up the field. The crowd looks a bit worse. It's like cookie cutter, like 2D crowd,
Yeah.
where it's actual 3D, fully rendered people, crowd models. But that's not really a big deal. Some people might get pissed off about that. The player models look better than FIFA when they still look like something from Dead Rising in FIFA. That sort of,
That's true. I was impressed with the graphics of Pro Evo, but what I've realised is I can play one or the other. I can't play both because there are football fields and
yeah,
players, and you've got to get your timing right.
yeah.
If that kind of makes sense, and if you're playing FIFA, you kind of it's a more fluid passing game, I find.
You can kind of relax a little bit when you play FIFA, unless you're playing a very difficult team or you're playing it on super hard. But
Mm,
you have to be constantly. It's like a driving game. You can't really take your eyes off it because you're constantly moving, and it's kind
yeah,
of like Pro Evo. Your level of concentration has to be a lot higher because it's more realistic, and you might get dispossessed a lot more quickly. Whereas FIFA's more like NHL. You're just going from end to end, really. Although to be fair, it is slower than it was. Like FIFA 10 was like the players were skating around, and they have slowed it down to make it a bit more realistic. And you can change the speed, I think, of it as well. Still,
tried that.
yeah, I think it's already on the slowest speed, so the default is what it is. But yeah, I guess you could almost say that if it was a basketball like game, like Pro Evo would be NBA 2K and FIFA would be NBA Jam. Well, that analogy might not help people that aren't into sports games, but yeah, it's kind of like you could be. It's like FIFA appeals to casual people and hardcore people, whereas Pro Evo is just hardcore people, which I think me and you are, but we've already got FIFA, so we're kind of sorted for a football game, you know.
Yeah, that's it. I just don't think you can play
There's no ultimate
them
team.
both. So I wanted to download it to see what it looked like.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
was impressed with it. And I think if I hadn't played FIFA for the previous week, I would have been okay. Oh well, I might think about picking this one up. So
yeah. If I see it for like maybe in like January or February, well, probably might be later than that, like May or something, when I'm thoroughly bored of FIFA, and I just fancy if I see it in somewhere like Playnation games, for instance.
oh,
Right,
there you go.
there you go. go to Playnation games for 20 quid or something, I'll be like, yeah, sod it, I'll get it and then give it a go. But I haven't pre-ordered it and I'm not going to. Plus, I like being able to play as Charlton. If people don't know that, then the team I support, and players, in all the different leagues, which you can't do. I mean, obviously it's got some leagues, but the Premier League isn't licensed. I think a couple of teams will be. I'm not sure if they've announced who they are yet, but you got the Bundesliga and La Liga, but there's no Scottish league in it. My other team is Celtic, and I can't play as them. There's no ultimate team kind of mode.
Sometimes Rangers and Celtic, they're under other European teams.
They are, yeah.
In the full menu, you had other European teams.
But there's no league.
No,
so
that's right.
You can't actually do a full. Well, you can kind of make a fake league, can't you? And just have Rangers in it, but you end up playing like Zenit St. Petersburg, and you won't feel like a real authentic thing. Whereas FIFA, you do feel that, and you got the commentaries better as well in FIFA. It's not great, but to be honest, both football games, presentation wise, are complete crap. And when I say that to people, they're like, "What do you mean? It's got the Premier League logo flashes by, or there's highlights." I'm like, play NBA 2K. That feels like a TV show. It's true. It's perfect. They've got the really cool transition-y stuff, the music, there's interviews on courtside, and it looks like a TV show. Whereas FIFA looks like a game trying to be a TV show. NHL's a little bit better because they've got two real people before each game you play doing a little analysis. So weirdly, they should get the NHL people to help with the FIFA. Yeah, they need to kind of hire the NBA guys to try and make it look more like it's a real game that's being shown on telly and not someone playing a video game. No, it's not a big deal, but when you played NBA and you see the presentation they have, you think they could do a bit better. Especially because they probably have more resources than 2K. But yeah.
What games have you been playing this week?
That's a good point. We need to stop talking about sports games. People are like, I hate sports games.
Now, right? You can't say another word about FIFA.
Banned, all right?
Banned.
For this week, we can have a little bit of a chat each week, but we can't talk about it the whole time. But yeah, anyway, to answer your question, so I just finished Heavy Rain. That was about a week ago, and I got the worst ending, I think, which I feel a bit guilty about. On PS3, and I just started. I've got Alien Isolation. I haven't played that yet. I've got it, but I haven't played it.
That's meant to be. It's quite funny. All the reviews have come out and saying, "Oh, it's really hard and the game's long."
Yeah, it's. I haven't started it yet, so I couldn't actually say. But I've been reading the reviews. Some people say it's brilliant because of the suspense and there's genuine bits that make you jump, like the first film. And others say, "Oh, yeah, it's too quiet. There's not much going on. You're just walking around the whole time. You die too often." So
I think that's they made a game which is a bit different, and the fact that it's now for me, my idea of a great game is about 8 hours long. A good story. So it might not be the game for me, but I was never planning to purchase Alien Isolation. Installation.
Alien PlayStation.
But the point is the fact that they've made a game and they've gone, oh, it's going to have a long story. Okay, you've got to sneak around. There's going to be moments where it's building up suspense where you're not going to come across an alien, but when you do come across an alien, it is going to be difficult to kill them, and you will die a lot. Okay, so they're making a game that's not just follow the corridor, shoot everything with a machine gun with unlimited ammo. Oh, plus, if you get shot by stuff, you can just hide behind a container, and then you get, within 20 seconds, you're fully healed, and on you go. So they're making a game that's, I think it's a little bit out of the ordinary, but it almost feels like a game that we got, 20 years ago.
The way people are describing it is, in terms of bits that genuinely scared me in a game, the last time that happened was in The Last of Us, when there's this one. Well, there's actually a few bits that are like this, but there's this one bit where there's these bad guys called clickers,
Oh,
like zombies, but they can't see you. But they can. They have super amazing. They use echolocation. They make this horrible clicking noise, kind of like the Predator in the Predator films,
yeah,
and they to see
yeah,
if
I
there's
know 'em.
yeah, and if you make a noise and they're near you, you'll die straight away. It's a little bit annoying because it's quite cheap in the way it does it. But basically, unless you shoot them, if
Oh,
they get
yeah.
you can't do a hand-to-hand combat with them like you can with anybody else in The Last of Us. Well, there's these things called bloaters that you can't do a hand-to-hand thing. But with clickers, if they grab you, you're dead. You're dead. There's nothing you can do, and it happens really quick. But yeah, there's these levels, if you can call them levels, areas, I suppose, in The Last of Us, where you literally have to sneak super, super, super slow around a whole gauntlet of clickers, and like the controller's vibrating a heartbeat, and everything's deadly quiet, and your characters that are near you are trying to keep up with you, like Ellie, the girl, and it's really tense. It is your heart does start to race, and then you feel so much relief when you get past it. And that is, people might get annoyed by that because there's people, if you like Call of Duty and you play The Last of Us, because ammo is super scarce, you've got to really think whether you want to kill someone or not with a shotgun. Most of the time, you should go up and shank them, or or stab them in the back, or hit them with a crowbar. You should using your gun is the last option because you might not find any ammo for a while. So if you're into Call of Duty and you're used to a Halo type of regenerating shield and abundant ammo, that will piss you off because you'll die a lot. I died like sometimes over a dozen times in one level, in one section, because I was just not being quiet enough, or I wasn't going through the right route. And you can do things. You can throw like bricks at the wall, and they'll get distracted for a few seconds. You can quickly run past them.
So I have to admit, I got a little bit frustrated with it, with all the sneaking around, and I shouldn't admit this.
It's
I
quite
had to on to easy, and I still don't think I managed to get past this certain bit, and it was just ultra frustrating.
You can finish it.
I didn't finish it, no, so I don't know the end, so don't tell me. But
It's awesome. You need to finish it just to get the ending. But yeah, no, I understand what you mean. There was bits where I literally was like, you know what, I'm actually going to leave the game for a couple of days, go and play something else, and then I came back later and I was able somehow, one of those things where you're fresh. It's probably because I've been playing it for 4 or 5 hours, and you just get retarded after that long, and you press the wrong buttons. Plus, I always forget, which is when I'm panicking in the game, I always forget how to change your ammo or change your weapon.
yeah, same here.
And in the panic of doing that, I get bitten by a clicker or something. I go really cack-handed. So game controls are really complex these days. But yeah, but I can understand. Yeah, it was. I mean, I had it on normal because I kind of feel like the normal difficulty is the one the developers want you to experience. That's how they've built it on the normal level. That's how they've built the game. And easy and hard and super hard are just hacks of like the normal mode, because that's for people that want to die a lot, or people that want to get through it fairly easily. So I always try and play games on normal. I don't like dying a lot. I like to feel like I'm going to complete the game. So normal, I kind of get the dying with the feeling like I'm going to complete it. But yeah, it's very much like that. So I can see why people are with Alien. If you don't like that, then you probably won't like Alien Isolation.
Oh no, I know. I've got no intention of buying it.
Yeah.
Or even giving it a go, because it's. To be honest with you, games where you're meant to be on edge and things jump, I don't like that. And,
yeah, I mean, I basically got it because I'm a fan of the Alien films. They're like my favourite films. And I had Aliens, Colonial Marines, and well, it was all right. I mean, I suppose I give it a point higher than anybody else that's not into the Alien films because I'm a fan.
Yeah.
But it was crap and it was very glitchy. Whereas this looks like it'll be a real. Although it's weird they can't make a decent Aliens game, because Aliens is already a video game. Like every single game that's like a first-person shooter is basically someone in sci-fi armor you know, with like a pulse rifle. It's basically just they've just watched Aliens and just made it into a game. But they can't make a game of aliens.
Do you remember the old game on the Amiga, Alien Breed?
Yes, it was like a top-down scrolling thing, wasn't it?
I did like that. That was good.
That was great. There was like a first-person one, wasn't there, as well for the 1200? If you had a bit,
Alien Breed. I think it was just
3D.
Alien Breed 3D. I think.
Yeah, and the aliens look like the xenomorphs, don't they, from the Alien films?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That was great. I used to like that, but yeah, this is apparently the best one. But yeah, that I'm gonna play it. So there's that. The other game I've kind of gone a bit mental over is Beyond Two Souls.
Because that's the sequel, or unofficial sequel to Heavy Rain, isn't it?
Yeah. A lot of people, it got kind of mediocre reviews because people thought it was less interactive than Heavy Rain, and there was less. It seemed like you were affecting less. Whereas in Heavy Rain, if you made one choice, you'd get potentially a whole different sequence of things would happen to you after that.
Yeah.
Whereas in Beyond Two Souls, that isn't the case. But I actually really, really like it, and I've been playing it. That's all I've been playing the last few days. I don't know how far into the campaign I am. I think I'm about halfway. But I think it's actually amazing. I've actually really enjoyed it. The storyline is awesome. There's been bits that have genuinely given me a lump in my throat out in the storyline, which I'm not ashamed to admit. It's like they've taken out the annoying bits of Heavy Rain, like some of the silly controls that he had to do, and yeah, the annoying the way you had to like hold down a button and like then press a stick to walk around. I thought that was really awkward. It was all right, you got used to it, but it was kind of awkward. You don't have to do that in Beyond Two Souls. You just press like directions on one of the sticks to like do actions like open the door and stuff. Whereas in Heavy Rain, you had to like hold down a button lock to do all that kind of stuff. I ran it for like £10 on Amazon new, so I was like, sod it, I'll play it because I liked Heavy Rain. So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Ah, cool. That sounds good.
So I've got one question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, what console or a console that you didn't like originally, but you do now? Do you have one?
I do.
Okay, what's that?
Oh, I've probably got two, but
That's right. You can say both.
all right, okay. Well, the first one, I think it's got to be the Sega Saturn.
Oh yeah. Okay. So why didn't you like it originally?
Originally, it was just outshone. I was always a bit of a sort of Nintendo guy,
Yeah.
So, and then the PlayStation came along, and that had appeared to be sort of better games. I think in hindsight, it did have better games, but in the last, I'll say, couple of years, I've really started to get into the Sega Saturn, and especially some of the Japanese imports, and it's just such a sort of, it's such a good game. It's a real sort of powerhouse of 2D graphics and some real sort of fun Sega games. And I played certainly my Sega Saturn a lot more than my PlayStation 1, and I probably got a lot more games on the PlayStation 1 looking at my collection. But
Yeah.
the Sega Saturn is a good machine, and it's really underrated. But to enjoy it the most, you've got to, you know, get a 4-in-1 cartridge, or get your machine modded, or get a Japanese machine and get some of the imported games.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's funny because I was like the opposite. When like that sort of gen began, which was with the Saturn, I think that came out a few months before the PlayStation. One of the reasons why it kind of that led to its demise was actually the early release, because they pissed off developers by releasing it early. So like, dude, our game isn't finished, and you want us to release it? We don't, you know. So
didn't they go to E3 and go and say something along the lines of, "Hi guys, we're releasing the Sega Saturn
now."
today."
Yeah, and they were like, holy shit. And it's going to be a bargain price of £400. You know, it's going to have like 3 games will be available. And then Sony like just minced onto the stage a couple of hours later or the next day, and they were like, yeah, we're launching in September. It's going to be £300 with 30 games. And Sega were like, oh shit. But yeah, but because I was a Sega fanboy and I kind of still am. I was always like, initially, I was like, yep, Sega Saturn. If you get PlayStation, you're just like an idiot. Sony haven't made games consoles before. It's going to completely fail. Just get a Saturn unless you're a complete twat. That was my opinion. And I was like 13, so I was a bit more like,
all based on fact.
Yeah, it wasn't completely based on fact. But to be fair, like, I mean, the initial games are a bit naff, apart from Daytona, because I've got two Sega Saturns. One I had back in the day, which I've still got, and I've bought another one. And Daytona USA was one of the launch games. The graphics are horrendous, but the game is really good. I mean, the draw distance is literally like practically at the end of your bonnet, because it's like, and it's got
that's true.
Huge PAL 50 hertz borders on either side, which make it look like it's some kind of widescreen cinema game, which it isn't. It's just the fact they didn't optimize it for PAL, so it's not full screen. And the texture.
You played Daytona USA Championship Edition for the Saturn.
Yeah, I don't actually like it. I've got it, but I don't actually like it. I prefer the older one because it looks better. The graphics are better, but the handling of the car's been changed, and yeah, I like the music. I like the remixed music. The music was funny in the original anyway, Rolling Star and all that. But have you got both of them?
Have I got both of them? I'm looking. I can see the championship one.
I don't think because I've got Championship Edition that I've got like the definitive version. The original was better in my opinion.
Yeah, I've got like a folder of just loose discs for the Saturn. I think I may have it in there, to be honest.
You probably have about 1 billion copies in your shop anyway, because it's like about the only game you could get when it came out. So I think,
you know what I did like? I did like Sega Rally.
Sega Rally was brilliant. Yeah, I remember there was this Christmas '95. Sega had like an amazing range of games for the Sega Saturn. But you had like Virtua Fighter 2, which was actually really good. Looked a lot better than anything on the PlayStation around that time. You had Sega Rally, which was brilliant. And you had like there's a bunch of other games I can't remember off the top of my head, but you had a Virtua Cop. There was all these great Sega games that were coming out for it, but it was it's just a shame because it kind of was on life support for about 3 years. And then Sega pissed everybody off again because they released a new console, the Dreamcast, which got a lot of the things right that were wrong with the Saturn.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit too little too late, and they pissed off the Japanese because in Japan, the Saturn did really well. It sold more than the N64, strangely. But because it was doing so badly in other territories, they were like, right, screw the Saturn, we're not making games anymore, let's all make Dreamcast games. Japan was like, no, the Saturn's fine here, we can carry on. And they were like, no, I don't care, screw it, Dreamcast. And that kind of pissed developers off there. So yeah, but no, it's some of the, especially the Capcom 2D fighters, often you'll find the Saturn version's the best one.
Definitely, yeah.
Street Fighter Alpha and all that, there's more frames of animation. It had more RAM anyway, I think, than the PlayStation. Even without the cartridges that you could add more RAM with. So yeah, some of the multi-plats were worse on the Saturn because it couldn't do like transparencies, could it, and stuff like that.
No, I mean I'm looking up there now. What have I got? I've got Resident Evil. I've got Destruction Derby. Obviously they're multi-plats. Independence Day. That's just shit.
Yeah.
I've got Wipeout. You always thought that was a Sony game, or a PlayStation game, the original one. I think you can get Wipeout 2097 as well.
Yeah, I've got the Saturn and PlayStation versions, and if you compare them, I mean, I'm going off the top of my head. I didn't have a side-by-side thing, but basically, it's slightly. I don't know how. I think it was about 30 frames a second on the PlayStation. It's about 20 on the Saturn. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty much the same. And also, you're sort of when you fire a missile or if there's an explosion. It's not a perfect transparent sprite. It's like a weird gradient thing because the Saturn. But apparently it could do transparencies, but you have to be really good at programming it.
Well, do you know what? For the Saturn, I watched this video on YouTube. I can't remember what it was. So I can't really quote it, but they were saying, "Oh, this is a tech demo of a game," and sort of by the end of its life, there were a few games coming out that managed to work out how to use both of
Yeah, two.
the processors to actually, and if you use both of them in a certain way, it was like twice as powerful as the PlayStation, and the games could, look, twice as good as PlayStation games. But
Yeah, yeah.
it just never got to that cycle. They never got, to release these or.
Yeah, I mean, a good early example actually is Virtua Fighter 2. If you like compare that to Tekken, the first one, which would have been, which were the fighting games of the same year, it's Virtua Fighter 2 blows Tekken away. I mean, it's at like high resolution. It's like 720 by 576, like a DVD. Resolution is 50 frames a second, whereas Tekken is just 320 by 240, 60 frames a second. It looks a lot. I mean, resolution wasn't something that people worried about in those days because we're all just plugged into standard definition tellies. But now you could do that comparison and it looks a lot better. And it had little things like the fighters' hands have individual animations, whereas they don't on Tekken. Well, not as complex anyway. And yeah, you're right. At the end, I mean, Shenmue on the Dreamcast was originally developed for the Saturn.
I think that was one of some sort of tech demo that I saw it, but I'll be honest with you,
They got really far into making it on the Saturn.
I wasn't really a fan of Shenmue, and I think you've
touched
heard my opinion on Shenmue.
Yeah,
I know people love it, so I don't want to be disrespectful to the game, but that would have been god awful on the Saturn.
Yeah, well, it probably would have been, but it looked. There's a video where if you complete Shenmue 2, that you get a video of the Saturn version when it was in development, and it looks brilliant. It looks way better than anything that was ever released on the PS1. So that was probably the game that completely pushed the Saturn to like breaking point. But because the Dreamcast was on the verge of being announced, they were like, screw it. Let's not waste the time because no one's going to buy it on the Saturn. No one bought it on the Dreamcast, funnily enough, but no one's going to buy it on the Saturn. Let's just utilize the extra power. Cost them 80 million quid to make that game. So it was the most expensive video game ever made. But yeah, that was an example. And some of the late Saturn games of like, I guess 98 and 99, although it kind of died around 98, didn't it? When the N64 came out over here, I think that was like the final nail.
So the N64, in my opinion, it's always been one of my favourite consoles. I've liked it then, I've liked it now. It's a bit of a funny one. I've got loads of consoles here all set up, but as much as I like the N64, I haven't got one because I've bought it 2 or 3 times. I've played the games a lot on there, all the ones I've wanted to play. And I think there's not much more to discover. People might say, "Oh, what about this? What about that?" You're probably right. There is more stuff out there, but no, I haven't picked one up. No.
Yeah, I mean, I had an N64. That was the first console I had of that gen. I got a Saturn later on because they were going second hand not long after, and then I got a PlayStation after that. Strange enough, that was the last one that I picked up. But it was because like the N64 was 100 quid at one stage. Sooner than the other consoles, and I was still relying on my parents to buy me this stuff then. So that was the first one that was within the range of me getting.
The problem with the N64 was I always felt, oh, brilliant, it's a lot cheaper. But hang on, the games are 50 quid a piece.
That's the thing, yeah. I mean, I'd like. I remember I got ISS 64 with it, which thankfully was amazing. So that kept me going until like. When I was able to get another game, which is like my birthday, a few months later. But I remember I borrowed GoldenEye off a mate, and I read reviews about it, and people were saying it was awesome. But because back in the day, we all bought game mags, didn't we? I think I bought CVG was my one of choice in those days, and everyone was raving about it. And I got it, and I thought, yeah, I'll try it. And I was like, fuck me, this game is amazing. That first level, damn, just blew me away. I mean, now it looks really blurry and like textures are really low resolution and it's like blocky as crap. but when you think about what first-person shooters on consoles were like, it was just they were just bad conversions of Doom and Quake and stuff. This was an actual proper console first-person shooter that was as good as anything you get on a PC. And then later on, when a bunch of my mates got N64s, then the true glory of 4-player Goldeneye came out, and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
And that was the N64 for me, was that and Mario Kart. And probably Super Mario 64, when I played that the first time, that like blew my mind. Like literally blew my mind. So I never played a game like Mario 64. I think I messed around in like the garden outside the princess's castle for like 2 hours. Because I was like, oh my God, I can run around, I can climb on the trees, swim in the water, there's fish in the water. It was like, I mean, you had Tomb Raider, I think, was a few months, beat it by a few months, but it wasn't, that was kind of on rails. Because you were supposed
Tomb Raider, yeah. I mean,
you had to go through a specific path, but Mario was like, wow.
I have to admit, Tomb Raider is a series of games that, I don't know. Quite often I've gone back to play the first one or the second one, or
yeah,
I thought, I'll give this a real good go. You know, see what all the fuss is about. And it's not enjoyable.
The first one I remember, like I played a demo on the PlayStation, and I was like, yeah, it's all right. I wasn't like, oh my God, I got to go out and buy it. I don't really get what the hype was, just like you. And then the next one that I played to any length was Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation, because it was on the Dreamcast, and I got it for cheap. Something. I think it was when it came out. I thought, fuck it, I'll get it. Cause there wasn't much else out for the Dreamcast, and I played that quite a lot until I got something better. But not because I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's because I didn't have anything else to play. But Tomb Raider, last year's Tomb Raider, is fucking awesome. That's one of the best games I've played. Like
I know, I will enjoy that, and I should pick that up on my PS4. I think
it's just Uncharted with Lara Croft. But a good Uncharted.
Well, Uncharted was good, you know.
Yeah, Uncharted is good, yeah, but I mean, it's like a good. If it was just an Uncharted game, it would still be a good Uncharted game. But yeah, the Lara Croft, she's not like a ridiculous bimbo, like, you know, character now, like she with huge tits, polygon tits, like she was before. She's actually a realistic character.
Well, she's a lot younger now, isn't she? It's sort of like the beginning. Yeah. Of Tomb Raider and the
it's a reboot, yeah.
Yeah, so it sort of shows how she becomes, you know, the Lara Croft sort of character. But the other system that I didn't really think much of at the time, well, I think I did pick one up, was the Sony PSP.
Oh right, yeah.
And that for me is, I think about middle of last year, I got myself a PSP, and it was about the time where a lot of the shops were just selling their games in, you know, for £1 each. And,
yeah.
You know, on Amazon, there were, you know, people selling them for £2 each, and on eBay, you know, you went into any cash converters.
You didn't have a PSP originally.
Yeah, they had loads of games, and some of the games, like the God of War games on the PSP, they look absolutely amazing.
So did you have a PSP like when it was actually in its prime?
I did have one when it first came out.
Right. Yeah.
To me, I don't know. I couldn't engage with it for some reason.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy it, but I couldn't really engage with it. So I think going back now and then picking up the creme de la creme, you know, the best games that came out for it.
God of War is a good example of graphics. It looks like easily like it's almost like in between PS2 and PS3. You know, it looks that good.
Yeah, and it was just an absolutely smashing, you know, engrossing game. What other games? Things like Loco Roco I really enjoyed, and Gran Turismo looked amazing, but it had issues. What other games did I really like on there? The Heroes of Legend, Untold Legends or something.
Oh right, yeah.
They were good. The Ridge Racer games
were
amazing on there. Was it Lumines,
yeah.
Lumines, that was another really good one. Final Fantasy Crisis Core.
Oh yeah, like a Final Fantasy VII spin-off thing, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, and that was a phenomenal game. That was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, So I have a couple as well, actually. The first one is probably the Nintendo DS.
All right.
Because it's kind of actually connected to your PSP sort of thing. That was, I got the PSP not long after it came out, and that was like, I loved it. It was like we talked about it last week. It was great being able to play like PS2 level games on a handheld you could put in your pocket, like blow you away. And I just thought, why would you want a Nintendo DS, which is basically, like low resolution N64 games for kids, with just the little touch gimmicks.
Yeah.
And I completely dismissed it. I mean, I played one. I had a mate who was a member of Club Nintendo, and when it came out, so they got it about a month before everybody else.
Hold on, Trevor, you sound all muffly. Are you put something in front of the mic?
No, can you hear me?
Oh, that's better. That's better.
Yeah. I'll say it again just in case. So yeah, I had a mate who was a member of Club Nintendo, and he got the Nintendo DS about a month before everybody else got it. It was a thing they were doing.
Why?
I think it was only 100 quid when it came out as well, so it was a lot cheaper than the PSP. But I kind of thought, well, that's because it's crap. And yeah, and I played like Nintendogs, and I think Super Mario 64 DS, and I was like, not that bowled over by it. I'd rather play Pro Evo and GTA, Liberty City Stories on my PSP, thanks. And yeah, it just looked really crap. And it's not until the last couple of years that I actually got hold of an original DS. And I've played them a lot now, and I really do I understand now why it's a great console. I've got a lot of games for it because now people are just can't, selling them super cheap. So it's really easy to get rid of them. Super Mario 64 DS is a really good game, really good kind of remake of Mario 64. Bit more annoying having only a D-pad to control with, but it's still really good. I like the DSi XL as well. I love the huge screens, and the battery life is awesome as well. It's like 20 odd hours, so it craps all over a PSP for battery life.
You see, with Nintendo and the DS, when it first came out,
Yeah,
they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I think. And it took a year of them trying different things before they hit the jackpot with something. I think it was Nintendogs, some brain training.
yeah,
Mario Kart came out for it, and people thought, "Oh, actually, yeah, this is the machine I want." But when it first came out, I was, "Oh, brilliant, a new Nintendo console." I had the money in my bank account, so I think I went to Dixon's and I looked at it and I thought, "Oh, what's Ping Pals? Oh no, that doesn't sound good. Oh,
yeah,
this game. Oh, that doesn't sound good. What's this one? Oh, it doesn't sound good. Oh, I think I'll leave it." And I left it because it didn't feel until it must have been sort of a good year later when your brain training, a few years later when Professor Layton, but
yeah. They started doing the ads with Girls Aloud and all that stuff, and it really started to hit critical, like maths sort of thing. Yeah.
It was quite, and I mean, whenever I go, I always look out for Chrono Trigger on the DS. So if anyone's got Chrono Trigger, sell it to me, please.
Yeah, it got some of those. It got some great little exclusive remakes as well. There was like Resident Evil 1 remake. I've forgotten what Deadly Silence, I think it's called.
Deadly Silence, dual screens, DS.
Yeah, great. It looks better than the original version, and it's the touchscreen element works well. You haven't got to go into a menu to heal yourself and all that crap I had to do originally. New Super Mario Bros. The original. I like the sequel on it's actually probably still better than the 3DS sequel. That was brilliant. I really like Star Wars Episode 3, which unlike the console versions is a really cool like side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, basically Streets of Rage, but with Star Wars characters and lightsabers, which is really really cool. And you got Turtles Smash Up, which is basically Turtles in Time, but better actually than the remake that was on the HD consoles, the HD Twins. There's that on the DS. That goes for quite a lot. I'm trying to get a hold of a copy of that, but it goes for quite a lot. And yeah, there's a Star Trek game I've been playing recently. I've forgotten what it was called. There's a Warhammer Squad Command. I've been playing that. It's quite a good simple turn-based strategy game. Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. I mean, the things you get on the DSi, the camera and all that stuff, I don't really. That stuff doesn't appeal to me. I mean, like you had like phones that could do that stuff better already. when that came out. But for a little kid, I suppose I could see where those things would appeal. But yeah, that's one console that I didn't like originally, and now I appreciate it. And quite a controversial one for my second one, it'd be the Super Nintendo.
But surely everyone liked the Super Nintendo when it first came out.
You would think that, wouldn't you?
Well, you would.
You really, because it's you know why people would think that, because it's a good console that's very very popular. But I was a Sega fanboy, so I had a Mega Drive. So in those days, there was like the playground kind of wars with what console you have. So for me, it was Sega. If you have a Mega, I didn't know many people that had a Super Nintendo. Most people I knew had Sega consoles. If you had a Nintendo, it's probably a Game Boy, which is brilliant. But in terms of things that plugged in your telly. I had a couple of mates that had Super Nintendo. I remember playing Star Wing around a mate's house, and that was like, actually, this is actually really bloody good. But then at the same time, I remember he plonked in Mortal Kombat, and I was like, what's this about? You're hitting people and there's no blood. And then I'll go and play the Mega Drive version and be like, yeah, look at me with my gore. So yeah, I was just a bit of a fanboy, and then it wasn't until a few years later that I actually owned a Super Nintendo. Well, I'll say a few years later, literally like 10 odd years later. Well, yeah, I could actually say 2009 when my girlfriend bought me a Super Nintendo because I wanted one because I never had one. That I actually started to appreciate the Super Nintendo. Now I realise that it's by far the better 16-bit console. Mega Drive. The multi-plats look better because it had a better colour palette. You got the Super FX games. You even managed to get things like Street Fighter Alpha 2 and like Doom. You could argue whether they're any good compared to the PS1 versions and things that are out at the same time. But even so, that's amazing. Your Donkey Kong Countries, your Mario All Stars, Star Fox / Wing, whatever you call it.
Mode 7.
Mode 7 graphics, yeah. Probably marginally better versions of Street Fighter 2. Probably Turbo, I'm looking at there. Although Super Street Fighter 2 is better on the Mega Drive, I have to say. But Turbo is probably better than Championship Edition. Yeah, just all that stuff combined, better controller. And I've got an EverDrive, one of those carts where you can stick an SD card in it and put the ROMs on. So you can actually run ROMs off your SNES. And that has just opened up a whole new world. I can play like every single PAL game that ever came out on a single cartridge. It's brilliant. They're not cheap and they're awkward to get, but they're worth it. Believe me, 'cause it's the best about emulation combined with playing on a real unit.
I'll tell you a funny story about the EverDrive. We had the guy who came in to us. He came to our shop from retrotowers.co.uk.
You have like EverDrives and all that shit.
No, well, what he did was basically the EverDrive is just the board which goes inside a cartridge shell.
Yeah.
When you buy it, you want it inside a cartridge shell. So he came to us and he brought every £1 football game, basketball game, golf game, Famicom game that was £1. So I think he spent about £70 or £80 just so he could take the insides of these games out, chuck them out, and put the EverDrive boards into them, and then he'll have a superior product to sell.
So we can like sell them for like twice the amount of money that you would if it was just a board or something. Yeah, it's a good.
Exactly. So I think it's like the boards cost about £70 or £80, but with the cartridge, the actual housing, the box, they cost up I think over £100.
Yeah, I got mine off eBay, and I think it probably would have been one of those dudes that sold it to me because it was in a proper cartridge. It had a nice little label on it. It was even in a box.
Yeah.
Basically like a Mega Drive box that had been modified to fit a SNES cartridge. And it was cut out a hole in the top of the cartridge to fit the SD card, and it works perfectly. The only thing is it hasn't got the there's a couple of chips that it hasn't got. It's a DHP1 or something.
Oh, so you can't play
Mario Kart
RPG.
Yes, and I can't play Mario Kart. I can't play Pilot Wings, and a few other games that needed this chip. I've got the Super FX 1 or 2, so I can't play those. But every other game, which is the 90% of the library, is fine. And I've even got a little app that can take the region coding of a ROM, and it can remove it, so I can play American ROMs. on that card. I have to do this little. I have to like remove the coding, the region locking beforehand. Then I put it on the cartridge and it will play. But yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, my favourite SNES game is Turtles in Time. I was side-scrolling beat 'em ups are my favourite retro genre, and that's probably the best one. I'm a bit of a Turtles fan anyway, so I'm a bit biased. But yeah,
talking about Turtles.
Yeah.
In Four Quarters, I keep on wanting to go there. I haven't been there yet. It's a bar in Peckham, which is an barcade.
Oh yeah.
They've just got a 4-player Turtles arcade machine delivered.
Oh, the original.
The original 4-player jobby.
Oh wow! So I remember playing the NES version of the original called Turtles: The Coin Op, or the arcade game in America. Yeah. Amiga as well. It was terrible on the Amiga though. It was actually better on the NES, which is not many games can claim that. But yeah, it was. I think it was just a conversion of that, where you start off in a burning flat, a burning building, and you got to rescue. Yeah, that game's awesome. And Turtles in Time was a sequel to that. That came out a few years later, but no, it's awesome. Konami made some really good scrolling beat 'em ups.
Do you like the Simpsons one?
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, there's Bucky O'Hare. Well, they're not really beat 'em ups, so you shoot a gun, but you're walking down a path and you're shooting stuff. So I guess it's kind of the same. But yeah, basically, so yeah, we should check that out. We should go down that place and maybe do a little podcast from there or something if they allow us.
I'll be honest with you. I've had a chat with the guy Tom, one of the owners there, and it's really doing quite well. I think with the sound of the arcade machines, I think we should go there and maybe talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, we should experience it firsthand and tell everybody how we got on with it. Yeah, that'd be great. There's a few of these things that have popped up in London, isn't there? Sort of arcade. There's that. What's that place called? The Heart of Gaming.
Heart of Gaming, HOG. Yeah, but that's all the way up in a. I've not been there, but it's in a industrial area up in Acton.
Yeah, it's like literally like a shipping container, isn't it, or something? A bunch of shipping containers or something.
Yeah, I think it's just like an old. It's sort of an old warehouse.
Yeah.
Type place. I've always wanted to go there, but it's just going
you
up
pay to £10, don't you? Yeah, it's like £10, and all the arcade machines are free. And they've got like Neo Geo, like Sega Model 1 and 2 and 3, and all that Capcom, CPS.
Yeah.
All those arcade machines in there. Yeah, we should make a point of maybe visiting these places, and then we can talk about them on the podcast.
Oh, that's a good idea, actually.
Our doorstep, not exactly on our doorstep, but they're in train distance. So yeah. Oh, cool. Well, I think we've nearly hit an hour.
I think we've actually been over an hour. Because what's it now? Oh no, it's probably about an hour. Probably just over.
Well, we don't want to bore anybody any further, so yeah, should we call it a night on that one?
I just want to keep you updated. Do you want to know the England score?
No, I'm recording it and I'm gonna watch it now. I'm time shifting it.
You're time shifting it. Okay, no problem.
Is there been goals? You can say that.
There's been goals, yes.
There you go, listeners.
But I am going to tell you one result.
Yeah.
European champion Spain lose in Slovakia.
Holy crap!
Yeah, there you go.
There's no Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland. I think they're all tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I think so. Because I know.
No, Wales are tomorrow.
Oh, let's have a look at schools. Ukraine beat Belarus. That's good.
Big guns like you.
Switzerland lost to Slovenia.
Who lost?
Switzerland lost to Slovenia.
Yeah, that's not very neutral of them, is it?
No, exactly. What was I going to say? All right.
You got football results thrown in for free there, guys.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this in about 3 months' time.
I remember that night of European qualifying. It was great.
Yeah. What a memorable night.
That Switzerland game. God. Cool. All right. Well, in that case, thanks for listening. We're going to make this available on YouTube and iTunes. I think Stu's going to plonk it on iTunes. Is that true?
I can plonk it on iTunes. I don't know how to do it, but I'll have a go.
Sweet. So you'll be able to subscribe on there, I think, and we'll be able to, once we worked it out, we'll upload the episodes on there. And we're going to put it on YouTube as well, because I know there's plenty of people that just live on YouTube and don't want to use any other thing for listening to stuff. So yeah, we'll have both the bases covered, and we're going to try and aim for one every couple of weeks, isn't it?
Right, yeah. So
stuff. Yeah. And yeah, we're just going to be the same sort of thing. we've got a few people that want to actually join us. We're going to see how we get on with just me and you first, I think.
Yeah.
They'll get the format right. But yeah, but thanks for listening. So goodbye from me, Trev.
And goodbye from me, Stuart.
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 Yeah. Right. Bye.
Bye.